Chiefs escaped the Broncos for their third straight narrow win. Now, I understand it was on a short week. They win 18-9, and this game was realistically a snooze fest kind of from both parts here. But let's start off with kind of some key plays from the teams and then get to our takeaways from this game as well. So, I thought some of the play calling for Denver in this game was kind of odd. I'm looking at Sean Payton, wondering what the hell he's doing on the sideline. You got a 4th and 3 scramble from Russell Wilson to be a turnover on downs. I thought that was horrible in the first quarter. The bad first interception from Russell Wilson as well, clearly just a misread on what was happening with the offense. But overall for Denver, you got to feel good about holding Kansas City to 3 points until 3 minutes to go in the second quarter before this football game did unfold and end with the score of 18-9. Or was it 19-8? Excuse me. It was 19-8, not 18-9. Excuse me. I knew that score kind of sounded weird there. But then you have the 3rd and 2 rollout by Russell Wilson in the second quarter. I mean, what kind of play call is that? Realistically, what are we doing here? What kind of play call do you have Russell Wilson going to the right side of the field for, going down in the backfield on the 3rd and 2? Definitely a head scratcher from Sean Payton. We had an awesome pass by Russell Wilson, of course, on that touchdown catch to Cortland Sutton, which might have been the best play of the night. But out of the key plays for Denver into kind of what Russ was walking into this football game. So you put Russ's and Mahomes' numbers together. Russell Wilson coming into this game, 11 touchdowns, 2 picks, 106 QB rating, 1,210 yards, 67% completion, 7 yards per attempt. Patrick Mahomes coming into this game, 10 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 96 QB rating, 1,287 yards, 67% completion, and you also have 7.4 yards per attempt. So Russ beats him out in touchdowns, less interceptions, higher passer rating, but Mahomes comes in with more yards per game, more yards per attempt. Russ barely edging him out, technically 66.9% completion, Mahomes at 66.8%. But when you look at what Russell Wilson put up in this football game on Thursday night, he doesn't pass for 100 yards, just 57 passing yards before hitting Cortland Sutton on the 21-yard gain in the fourth quarter. 95 total yards in the game for Russell Wilson. Only 22 dropbacks in this game, 22 pass attempts, 13 completed passes, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. He was sacked 4 times, and he had 37 yards at halftime. Travis Kelce for the Kansas City Chiefs, 109 receiving yards at halftime. Kelce had more receiving yards at halftime than Russell Wilson did have passing yards going into halftime. And the offensive line did not help Denver in this game whatsoever. They rarely helped them. The receiver core, very underwhelming. Not a lot of separation for these guys. You got Jerry Jeudy and Steve Smith Sr. kind of getting into it before the game, or Steve Smith wanting to approach him like a man. Jerry Jeudy not necessarily having it. And unfortunately, I think that kind of reflected on the field here for Denver. 3 catches, 14 yards. Now, Cortland Sutton does come in, 4 catches, 46 yards, a really nice touchdown grab, the only touchdown grab of the night for the Broncos. Very difficult one as well. But the Broncos only had 197 total yards of offense in this game. There was no creativity. The offense looked very stale. And the biggest drive in the first half was 34 yards. It started rough in this game, really. You got a turnover on downs on the first drive, an interception on the second drive with Russell Wilson. And then a few drives later, you got a bad play call with 2 minutes to go on the 3rd and 2. That was the rollout that I was talking about earlier. But the defense here wasn't the issue for Denver. The Broncos defense entered this matchup coming in, it was an issue, but in this game, Denver's defense was not an issue. Denver coming into this game, they were the worst unit in the league through 5 weeks. They were last in points per allowed per game, yards allowed per game, yards per play, yards per rush, rushing yards allowed, points per drive, passing touchdowns, and 3-and-out percentage. The defense can't get much worse than that. The Broncos also allowed a 77.3% completion percentage to opposing quarterbacks, which is the highest by a team, any team in the first 5 games of a season since at least 1940. So the Broncos were out here playing historically horrible defense walking into this football game. But you look at what they did defensively in this game against the Chiefs. They hold them to a field goal on the first possession. They intercept Mahomes on the second possession, and then they stuffed the tush push fake field goal that I thought was pretty interesting from Kansas City in this game on the third possession. The 19 points that Kansas City scored in this game was the lowest they have scored all year. So you have to give credit to Denver's defense. But we have to ask the question now of, is Sean Payton kind of already not trusting Russell Wilson? Only 22 pass attempts in this football game for under 100 yards, 115 rushing yards in this game on only 23 carries. I'm just kind of wondering what kind of game plan is this for a Kansas City team that is in the tops of the league in yards per game defensively. They're second in the league defensively behind the Niners, the best team in football. The Kansas City Chiefs are second defensively in points per game behind them. So knowing you're going up against this Spags defense, this Steve Spagnuolo run defense with the Chiefs, why was this the type of game plan coming in? I mean, Russell Wilson just looked flat. The offense looked flat. They did not look very good. Sean Payton with some very questionable calls in this game as well. You got the timeout before halftime. You know Kansas City's supposed to call that timeout so they can make the Broncos punt the ball away. Sean Payton owned up to that one in the presser. The 3rd and 2 rollout in the second quarter, like I mentioned, Russ goes down in the backfield. And then when they turn it over on downs on the first 4th down that they went for, Russell Wilson going out of bounds behind the line of scrimmage. Now, let's get over into what Kansas City was doing in this football game. We know we had the bad interception by Patrick Mahomes. I thought the fake field goal by Kansas City, like I just said earlier, the brotherly shove, as we're calling it lately, thought that was a very nice play. Now, they didn't convert, and credit to Denver for being able to stop that. Shout out Harrison Butker, though. Big kick in this football game. Now just the 7th in NFL history to make multiple 60-yarders in their career. Nice 3rd and 11 scramble in the third quarter with about 4 minutes to go. You saw Mahomes directing traffic, being able to scoot up the right sideline. And we know that Travis Kelce has a big day. 9 catches, 124 yards, a 40-yarder. Pacheco was making plays. Rashee Rice with a career day, 7 catches, 72 yards. Kadarius Toney with the only touchdown for the Kansas City Chiefs in this football game. And this Spags defense is super legit, despite them facing the 12th worst offense in points per game and the 14th worst offense in points per game. Now, coming into the game, the Chiefs and Broncos were respectively 9th and 10th in total terms of offensive points per game. So you kind of thought it was going to be an offensive maybe stalemate or good matchup for lack of better words, but the Chiefs are supporting again the 5th overall defense in yards this year, the 2nd overall defense in points per game, and they did what they were supposed to do. They beat an underwhelming Broncos team. They came in, they handled business, and they made the Broncos offense look very, very stale. 16th straight win for Kansas City over Denver. Mahomes now 12-0 undefeated in his career against the Denver Broncos. And what's crazy is the Chiefs are not playing even close to their best football right now offensively, and they still won 5 straight. And they're still 5-1 looking like Super Bowl contenders. I mean, you have to give them credit. You have to give the Chiefs credit for what they're doing. Not playing your best football, still being 5-1, now on a 5-game win streak after dropping the opener to the Detroit Lions, who are a real football team this year, by the way. Now, I still am concerned about them, though. Mahomes, he's been shaky with his turnovers the last 3 games, a lot of lazy throws, a lot of trusting his arm. We've seen a little bit of that of him, from Mahomes over the kind of earlier parts of the year. We talk about his mechanics possibly falling off. He's just not playing like a top guy. I still think he's playing like a top guy in the league. They clearly need another offensive weapon, which maybe could clean up Mahomes trying to trust his arm too much because we know they're not working with a whole lot, but the coaching is what is keeping this team intact. So to know that the Chiefs are 5-1, five straight wins, and they're not playing their best football. Sean Payton, the exact opposite, 1-5. I'm still standing on the hill of Sean Payton could potentially be gone by Thanksgiving. And I don't want to see that for me as a major Saints fan, wanting to see big things happen for Sean Payton. But he's not coaching well. The offense is doing okay. The defense stepped up in the game last night. But realistically, the defense overall is the worst in the NFL. Broncos fans, Chiefs fans, get in the chat. Get in the comments. Let me know what you guys are thinking about this Thursday night football game as the Chiefs escape with a win. Not 18-9, like I said, but 19-8. They move to 5-1, and they're still playing some shaky football right now.